So, and so going back to Blackboard, right? You have the homepage with the announcements, you have the syllabus, you have the assignments and grades. The gradebook is there. In the gradebook, I put only your test scores so you can keep track of how you're doing, right? I don't give the other scores because there's no scores, it's pass or fail, but you will be able to keep track how you're doing on the test in that. And then the last tab is recorded lectures, right? Any lecture I do here goes on YouTube. If you want to be famous, just participate a lot in class because you'll be public right, for the whole world to see. I get a lot of positive comments actually from people who view the videos, and they're like, wow, the students are so cool, they make such good comments. So really feel free. You're giving a good name to Queen's College in general. So those are the recorded lectures. If you miss a lecture because you're quarantined or you're dealing with something, you can always catch up like that, right? You can't catch up the work, as we'll see, but you can certainly catch up the material. Okay, any questions on the Blackboard part of this? Yes. Yes. So, and I will put the playlist accessible via Blackboard. You click on the recorded lectures, boom, you enter the playlist. So you'll have. What?
How many people usually watch the?
You'll see. I mean, some people from all over the world are watching now these lectures. It's really nice. I have sometimes 50, 60 views for one particular class, which is really nice. So it's exciting to know that knowledge is being dispersed all over the world. So yeah, not more than 60. You will only be a 60 people celebrity. Okay, good. All right, so I got that. Yeah. This is important. All right, are there any Sikh students in the classroom? Any Sikh students? Okay, so please come after class, and we need to talk about the review sessions and so forth, okay? Actually, tell me right now who you are. Yes, let's see. Okay, yes, got you. Who else? Yes. Yes. Last name? Okay. Rena, you mean? Oh, Rana. Sorry, my eyes are really bad. Okay, good. Who else? Yes. Lynn. And then I'll learn you later. Let's see, where were you? Kwiatkowski, right? Kwiatkowski. Who else? Yes. What? With an R? Where you were? I have Ratul, Ramos. Oh, Ratul. Okay. Yes, that's your last name. Who else? That's it. I have one. Okay. So 6 students after class. We meet a little bit. Okay. Yes. All right, let's talk about the syllabus. Today, all we will do is talk about the syllabus. And also, I will introduce you to how to read philosophy. I'm curious, how many of you have taken philosophy before, just to see? Okay, so, a lot of you, that's great. Okay, so those of you who didn't, this will be good also, and a good review for y'all. I will initiate you how to read philosophy and so forth. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so this particular class called Introduction to Ethics, right? I have made it interesting for you and for me, and I have decided to reshape the class into the ethics of love. So if you are in a relationship, or maybe you just broke up, or maybe you want to be in a relationship, this is the class for you, right? In this class, you will learn all the skills you need to understand what happened, what went wrong, and you will learn all the skills you need to make it work next time and to create a lasting relationship, which is beautiful and not a complete catastrophe, right? Because you can have lasting relationships that are a mess, right? So we don't want that. So we need both lasting and beautiful, right? So really this class for me has been invaluable. It will be also invaluable for you. You will learn so many amazing skills from amazing philosophers who have thought very deeply about love, who have gone through love stories, right? And who have learned and gained wisdom from their love experience. And we, in this classroom this semester, we are going to learn from them. And each time I teach the class, I am learning also. This is why I like to teach it every semester, because it's like, it reminds me, right, what to remember. So I want us to see this class like a kind of study abroad. We're going to be traveling in a boat. And we will be traveling in space and in time. So we will be traveling in space in terms of we will be connecting with some philosophers from very far distant lands, right? And we will be traveling in time because we will go back in time very far. all the way to the first author is 1000 BC, right? And then we'll move up all the way to the 20th century to an author who is still alive today. So we'll be traveling in space and time. And so you have to expect, as in any travel abroad experience, that there will be some culture shock. It will be new. You will read texts that were written thousands of years ago. You will read from different languages, well, in English, but translations. But so it will be kind of a challenge. It will be interesting for you to enter these different worlds and these different experiences. And this will be one of the challenges of the class. So let me introduce you the 7 authors we're going to do, just briefly, so you have an idea who they are. The first one is my favorite. He is a very ancient king. He's known as King Solomon. He ruled Jerusalem in around 1000 BC. And he was a great lover himself. We're going to learn a little bit about him. He had, I think, 300 wives and 1,000 concubines. So he was an expert, right? Certainly in the arts of love. And what we're going to read is really the Hebrew Kama Sutra, right? This is a text written in order to teach people about love, right? About giving wisdom with regards to everything, with regards to the emotional, but also to the physical aspect of love. You will learn so much from this text. So it's a beautiful poem called the Song of Songs, which we'll begin with in this class. Very ancient poem, and more on this later. Then we will go and move a few centuries forward to around 300 BC, around the Greek, in the Greek islands. We're going to be studying under Plato, whom you mostly know, the philosopher Plato. And he wrote a book called, best translation is The Party, right? So basically a book about a party where a bunch of guys got together and they got drunk, and then one of them decided, let's have a competition on who will have the best thing to say about love. And so one after the other, they kind of say what they think love is like and how they understand love. And so the compilation of all of these discourses makes up this book called The Party, or in the way you'll find it online is a symposium, right? It's not really a symposium, it's a party. The real title in Greek is the banquet, right? So like a feast, right? So we're going to learn from Plato. So we're going to learn from all of these guys who in their drunken state uttered quite a few interesting things about love, you'll see. And we'll even have the appearance of a woman briefly to teach us a little bit slightly different take on love. And then we will, that will be the experience with Plato. Then we'll go and we will move a few centuries up to the 18th century in Germany, and we will study the first substantial, hardcore philosopher, Immanuel Kant. His work is called The Groundwork to the Metaphysics of Morals. And I skipped one, but I'll go back to him in a bit. And so this guy is very interesting. He will actually teach us about the importance of respect in relationships. This is something that we know how to love, but we don't know what is respect. And a lot of us are in relationships where there's love, but there's no respect. And so he's going to really teach us what does it mean to respect others, what does it mean to respect ourselves. Going back, I skipped one, Rumi, the Sufi philosopher from present-day Turkey. He's a Muslim, a poet, and he has a beautiful things to say about love. He writes poetry. Mostly about love between God and human beings, but we can certainly learn a lot from what he's saying. And one of the things we will learn from Rumi is the ability to take risks in love, to be audacious, to leave behind our comfort zone, the importance of taking leaps of faith if we want to truly experience the depths of the experience of love. So that's Rumi. Then, continuing 20th century, the last three, still 19th century, we will go to Denmark, where we will find here the philosopher, the existentialist philosopher, Soren Kierkegaard, who is actually considered the black sheep of philosophers. He's a little bit of a pariah. He's an outcast in the philosophical canon, and we're going to see why. But he has written, in my view, a masterpiece called Works of Love. It's a text based on the Christian concept of love, on the teachings of Jesus, but it's really, in my view, if you really want to become a mature lover, you have to be acquainted with this text. It's a beautiful text where we will see especially featured the importance of hope in a relationship, to not lose hope. Very often we're in a relationship and it's going badly, and we make it worse by despairing about the relationship instead of finding a way out of the problem through the transformative power of hope. He's going to talk about hope, not just wishful thinking, but as having an actual impact on the relationship, right? And so we're going to learn this amazing skill of how hope, how our ability to hope for the other can actually move the relationship out of a crisis situation and actually have an impact. Then we'll go to Martin Luber, 20th century, and he wrote a fascinating text called I and Thou. And in this text, we are going to look at, it's a criticism of present day dating, dating system, right? He's not writing now, but whatever he's writing applies perfectly now. We are the swipe generation, right? So we swipe and have a nice date, and if it doesn't work, we ghost, right? This is how we do this. So we kind of have a very consumer approach to relationships, right? We know we can go on any website and click, and that person manifests, right? And then when we're done with that person, we swipe, right? So we are really falling into a dangerous trend of seeing partners as objects of consumption that we can use for a bit and then discard when we are done. And he's going to offer not so much a criticism, but the alternative. He's going to help us remember something that we are losing in the process of seeing people as products that you can swipe, right? We are losing what he calls the depth and the sacredness of the human relationship, right? So we have to recover, especially today, when we are seeing people really as objects of pleasure and objects that we can use for our own satisfaction. We are losing, according to Luber, this sacred dimension of humanity, and we're losing our own sacred humanity, right? So we'll talk about that. And the last one we will do is a feminist philosopher. We begin with a woman with the Song of Songs, and we will end with a woman. We have this female teacher, right? So I have to do this. The last one is a feminist from France. So, and you're in luck, guys. She's not a hardcore feminist. She's a softcore feminist, right? She loves men, right? And you can tell that in her writings, right? There's a lot of love there. For her male partners, but it's a fascinating text to read both for males and females. For males, you will finally understand what women want, especially in bed, right? And for females, you will finally understand what you want, because we have a vague notion that we're not satisfied, but we don't know why, right? So this text is true, and we will hide it to ourselves, right? So this text will really help us as women discover, right, what we need, what we desire. And so it's a great text to end with, right? When it comes to a class on love, we have to end with a little bit of sex education. Okay, so that's the program. Any questions on anything I said so far? Yes?
I'm curious about the alternative that you mentioned. Do you think you could quickly summarize what he believes is the alternative to this age of consumerism?
Yes. Well, actually, I'm going to leave it as a surprise, because he describes at length what, and even me, I realized when I was reading this, how superficial my relationships had become. So really, we are becoming, and me included, superficial, right, and consumeristic. And so he is going into the direction of helping us discover that there is a deeper way to relate. And perhaps, yeah, it's hard to summarize because then I have to go into the whole thing. So I will just leave you in suspense. And you can get the book and start reading. Where it gets interesting, what we will study is page 55. So you can already do a little bit ahead reading. Any other questions on the program? Okay, good. Now, I'm going to ask you for this class to buy the actual books. Do not buy some Kindle version or whatever. Buy the actual books. And I want to give you 2 reasons why I want you to buy the actual books, or maybe 3. Number 1, these books are going to be your companions for this journey. You are going to be reading them, not just reading them, but engaging with them, wrestling with them. And I will teach you in a bit how you need to underline and annotate this kind of writings. This kind of, when you read philosophy, it's very important to be able to write in your book. So unlike what all your professors have told you in grade school, in this class, you have to write in your book. So you can't write on a Kindle, right? It's not the same thing. So it will be easier for you actually to follow if you have the actual book. So that's the first point. Second point is these books are, and we have to we are forgetting, I think, that every book is, a book is not an object like other objects, right? Any object is inanimate. Books are not. Books are objects with a soul, right? These books are really the incarnation of these 7 philosophers that we're going to study. And you want to take them with you after class, right? You don't want to just dump them, right, when we're done. These are philosophers that will inspire you, that you will find resonate with your own questions and struggles. And so you will be tempted, I am almost positive, to take these books home with you after class is over, to keep them and to consult them and to have them there with you to accompany you in your future journey of love, right? You want to have this kind of physical presence, right, of these magnificent authors we're going to encounter in class. But here's the last reason, and this is, I think, the one that will convince you, hopefully. So I want you to imagine that you've been dating for a little bit, and you realize after a little while that tonight's the night, right? Tonight's the night, you've made dinner, right? And by the way, all of you should learn to make some dinner, right? Guys and girls alike. There's nothing sexier than the guy who can cook dinner. I have to tell you, that will just, your intelligence and your looks, 20%, the dinner, 80%, she's yours. Like, if you can combine the two. I come from France, and in my country, all men cook, right? And they are really, we know that the French are the most seductive nation in the world, and this is why, because we know how to cook. So make sure you all learn one dish, right? It's back to our tonight's the night. So tonight's the night, and so you've invited the person. Your books are on a little shelf, right? Put them in your living room. They're with you always. And that person enters your apartment for the first time, and you're busy, fixing up everything in the kitchen. And the person, if they're like me, they will begin to scan, right? To figure out who you are. So they will scan discreetly in the bedroom. They will scan in the living room. They're gauging you. And then all of a sudden, their eyes will fall on your shelf with the 7 wonderful books on love. And at that moment, they will realize that you're not just hot stuff. You're also brains, soul, right? And at that moment, whatever you achieved with your looks and your cooking, this is the final blow. They're yours. They have melted, right? They will realize, oh my God, you read Rumi? Me too. And now you have something to talk about, right? Other than, what is it? This show that was going on for forever. That crazy show that was like super violent, but really interesting. What? No, I don't know that show at all. I was thinking of another, but that's okay. We're probably not seeing the same shows anyways. Which one?
He's on Money.
Yeah, Money.
No, I don't know that one either. Okay, never mind. Instead of talking about some dumb show you saw on TV, you'll be talking about the profundity of Rumi and Plato and Kierkegaard, and you will have this amazing conversation, and that person will never forget you, right? So just for that, you want to keep the books on your shelf so that you can make that amazing impression, right? When that significant other comes into your space, right? Okay, have I convinced you to get the real books, hopefully? Yeah. Yes? Okay, the way you buy them is you go to the QC online bookstore, and you can have really good reductions. The last one, Irigora, is a bit pricey, which means you can buy it if you want, but I will put probably the chapter online for you on Blackboard, because it's like $50 or something. So the best books like this, out of print, $50, terrible. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, all right. Before I get into the requirements and everything, I want to initiate you to reading philosophy, because it's not obvious. This is the books I have chosen can be quite difficult. So in order to prepare you for that experience so that you can enjoy and you can just cruise through these readings, I'm going to initiate you through 4 steps to reading philosophy. So first thing you need to, well, first of all, let me first explain how philosophy is going to be different from anything you have ever read before. Usually when you read something, it's pretty clear. You understand the sentences, right? It makes sense. Even if it's a little hard, you concentrate and you get it. Philosophy is not going to do that for you, right? You will read the sentence and you will understand nothing. And then you will read the second sentence, and likewise. You will read the whole page and nothing will have made sense to you, right? And so then you will immediately think, I'm an idiot, I'm not made for this, I should probably give up. Don't, because it's the same for all of us. Me too. When I read some of these texts, Luber, when I started out, I was like, okay, what? What is going on, right? So philosophers write in this way on purpose, and I will explain why. The reason philosophers write in a way that is completely difficult to understand is not that they're trying to be snobby or elitist or academic, right? The reason is what they're talking about. Let me explain. Most of what you read is talking about things that are real in the world. You read about science, you have the leaf right there, you can see whatever is going on. You're reading about politics, you have these are actual things in the world happening. So it's easy to understand because you're seeing what they're talking about. Philosophy is talking about a different dimension, which Plato will teach us. It's called the metaphysical dimension, the dimension beyond the physical. This is the spiritual realm to which we also belong as human beings. What Plato is going to teach us is that we have a foot in the material realm, but we also have a foot in the spiritual realm. This is the realm of all of the experiences which are not material, right? These can be the experience of love, or the experience of hope, or the experience of angels, or the experience of God, or the experience of despair. All of this is part of this deeper dimension that we as human beings also inhabit, right? Now, philosophers are trying to talk about that dimension. And so imagine trying to talk about something which you cannot put into words, right? They're trying to talk about a dimension beyond the physical using words that usually only apply to the physical. And so they are struggling to make visible something which wants to remain invisible. Think of your feelings in terms of love. It's very complicated, most of us, right? If someone asks you, why did you break up? You don't know. Why are you still together? You don't know. Do I love them? I'm not sure. Right? So it's very complex. It's hard to talk about. And here are philosophers trying to talk about something which doesn't want to be talked about, which is internal, which is mysterious, which is personal. And that's why they struggle with the language. To express something which normally cannot be expressed, right? So that's why philosophy is so hard, because they are dealing with a material which is inexpressible, which is difficult to express, to explain, to clarify, because it's intimate, it's personal, it's inner, right? And that's why it's so difficult. So now that you know that it's going to be difficult and why, I will give you the initiation so you can actually cruise through these readings. So step one, make sure you write this down. You all need, when you are reading, a pencil. Why do I say that? What is the use of a pencil? Yes.
Well, first off, to guide your eyes, and second, to take notes.
Yes, very good, right? If I'm reading and I don't underline the things I understand and the things I like, it is as though I had not read, right? The text just goes in and out. So when you underline, you're kind of grabbing onto these nuggets, right? You're kind of like picking strawberries. You're thinking, oh, this is interesting. This is important. I like this. I don't understand this, but it sounds nice, right? So you're underlining what you understand and what intrigues you. And by the time you're done, you'll see you'll have understood a little bit. You'll have gathered a few gems from that text already by yourself, even before I talk about it. So very important to read with a pencil and to write in your books as much as possible, and also to annotate with questions and so forth. Let me show you how I read. This is one of the books I'm reading right now. This is what your pages should look like. You see, I have circles, I have comments, I have underlining, I'm very engaged, right? I'm reading this and this is how I will remember, right, what I read. So very important to read with a pencil. Now, number two, if I remember, I'm doing this by memory. Yes, second thing you need in order to really, let me write this down before I forget. Okay, second thing you need, and you're going to be surprised, and this is really important, is to read in a state of enjoyment. In other words, you need to read this in your best moment of the week. So imagine maybe Sunday morning, everybody's sleeping, you're here with your chai tea, your cat is sitting over there purring, and you're like, okay, now is the moment I'm going to take out my Plato or my Kierkegaard. I'm going to relax. I'm just going to read, right? And I won't understand anything, but it's okay, because all that is required of me is to read. Does that make sense? Are you seeing this, right? I'm not requiring you to understand. I'm just requiring you to read and to experience what it's like to be in the presence of this great mind, right? So you don't need to understand. You don't need to think or reread or try to figure it out, because we will figure it out in class together, right? All I want you to do is enter the text, enter that world. be in the presence of that person. So you're reading and you're just enjoying the experience of not understanding. Can you do that? Okay. And so you always read in a state of enjoyment. As soon as you start to get tired and bored and frustrated, I prefer you put down the book. I'm so serious about this that if you're a slow reader and you hate reading, I prefer you just read one page in a state of enjoyment and do the assignment on that rather than push and hate the book and hate philosophy. That's how serious I am. I will, those of you who love to read, of course, you read the whole thing. But if you have trouble and you start to get frustrated and angry and depressed, read one page, enjoy that one page, and then put down the book and relax, right? That's how serious I am about this enjoyment part. So that's the second step of initiation if you want to really get through these readings. Third one is to read with a sense of urgency. Let me explain. In this class, we are going to stumble on wisdom that you have been looking for years, and that perhaps you will be looking for also in the years to come. This class is one of the rare classes in college where you will get something that will help you in your daily lives, right? Unlike chemistry and physics and right? All this stuff you're doing that has no impact whatsoever in your personal life, this class will have an impact. And this class is going to give you the skills and the wisdom you have been thirsting for years, I assume, right? So anytime you're reading, you should be reading with the hope of maybe now, maybe today, I'm going to stumble on that wisdom that I have been looking for, right? You're in the lecture. Maybe now, maybe today, she's going to say something that I need to hear, right? This is the urgency. At any point, you could hear something that is life-altering, right? You could hear something that will profoundly transform your relationship for that forever. So urgency when you're reading. Maybe I turn the page. Maybe finally I will hear or see what I have been missing, that piece of the puzzle that I have been missing in all my relationships. Okay, that's what it means to read with urgency. Last one, reading together. There's three things you should never do alone. And if you start doing them alone, you're in trouble. Alcohol, drugs, and philosophy, right? So if you see yourself drinking by yourself, you need help. I'm just letting you know, right? It's fine to drink with your buddies, but if you wake up in the morning, you're already pouring by yourself a big one, I'm just letting you know that you might be in trouble. If you're gonna try that new drug, right, that's cool. Make sure there's someone with you who can keep you from jumping out the window when you're having that weird effect, right? So you never know how you're gonna react, right? So never take drugs alone. And finally, philosophy, don't do it alone. You know why? Because you can get lost in an ideology and destroy your life. Too much of Rumi will destroy you. Too much of Plato will destroy you. Too much of Kierkegaard will destroy you. You need to be able to constantly open your ideas, communicate your ideas with others so they can balance you out, right? When you say, I think love is this, and someone else will be like, whoa, aren't you exaggerating? Listen to them. They're there to bring you balance, right? Wisdom in general cannot be found alone, right? We cannot find wisdom alone. Make sure when you're on your love journey that you are open to listening, not necessarily to the way that everyone is criticizing your boyfriend, right? You don't need to listen to that, but because it will come, right? Not many people understand, right? Some loves, right? But you can listen to advice on how to make things better. You can go and read and talk to people. It's always good to get the most possible advice. So always journey together when it comes to love. Make sure when you fall in love that you have a few people you can go to for advice, or a few books, or friends who know what they're doing, right? Because we go to friends who are just as lost as us, right? It's not the good, right? Go to friends who have figured it out, and you can tell, you look at their relationship, right? Always rely, right, together. We philosophize together. We find wisdom together. Okay, you are now ready to read anything in this class, right? Always read with a pencil. You enjoy it. You have urgency, and you read together. You share the ideas you're reading with people around you. You discuss it. And if you do this, you will cruise through these readings. Remember, I don't expect you to understand the reading. I want you just to experience the reading. Okay, any questions on this initiation? No? Okay. All right, let's get into the syllabus. Oh yeah. yeah, before we do, I have a proposition for you. So this class is supposed to last till 7, but I have found another way. So I would be interested, if you are, to finish at 6 and make the class a hybrid, meaning you would have a lecture, occasional lecture to listen to online, a total of 7. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
How many of you would like to go hybrid? Raise your hands. Okay, Ramos. It's the same as last time.
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
Would the
No.
lectures be
I didn't have a problem with it.
No, it's yeah. Ramos took similar class. Yeah, we're doing the text together, the main thing, and then the introductory lectures. Would you be willing to do
Oh
that?
yeah, I mean I'll do it if everyone wants to.
Okay.
I'll just say
Because it's advertised as in person, you know.
Yeah.
So I cannot. If one person even doesn't want to, we have to listen to that person. So, okay. Sorry, Ramos. You have the other class that's fully in person. So yes, this works really well, but it works really well if you come that once a week, right? So this is once a week. So you, the problem with it that I've noticed with this hybrid version is that people get lost. It's easy to fall behind when you don't have twice a week, for example. But if you're willing to come every week, you will do fine. And so then you will have the lecture. Why didn't you like that format? I'm just curious.
I'm just sort of like an in-person type of learner. Like, I just like
It's the same, but shorter. Don't you want to go home? Okay, I feel you. Okay, fair enough. Very good. But the majority apparently is wanting to go home earlier. Yes. Yes. So I will. So basically, all the lectures that you will have to watch will be the introductory lectures to each author. So these are not. I don't need you for that. You don't need me. It's just introducing a biography, blah blah blah, elements that you need to start the reading. So before every reading, you'll have the lecture to listen to first, and I'll give you a question to answer. So I know that you've watched the lectures. So you will have that extra assignment to answer that question. And then in class, we will do the actual text, which is the important thing, right? This one I want to do with you because that's where we really dialogue and you ask questions and we grapple the text. But those lectures, there's no need to be together. It's just me spouting about the biography and the elements you need to know so you can navigate the reading better. So, okay, so we will go hybrid. That's excellent. I'm happy to. So now we can go into the syllabus. All right, so attendance. So like I said, right, we are once a week. Don't fall behind. It's easy to fall behind when it's once a week. I noticed this is not great for students who are not very responsible, this format. Hopefully you're all very responsible, so it should work out. Sorry, in the syllabus talks about cameras. This is an old thing from, I forgot to change that from when I was teaching it online. Okay, the assignment you will have every time we meet. This is every time we meet, you will have that assignment. This is called the reading assignment. This is an assignment for dummies because it doesn't take much intelligence to do it. This is what you need to do for this assignment. Every time you have a reading, I want you to write me one page, single space, 4 paragraphs. Make sure you write this down. So 1 page, single space, 4 paragraphs. Again,
This is the
reading assignment. Yeah, which you know already. In the first 2 paragraphs, I want you to talk to me about a question you had about the text. So you're reading the text, which will be, of course, difficult and challenging. And of course, you will have questions. What does this mean? What is the author saying here? Or why do they contradict each other? Or what is happening? You just start to wrestle with the text. You start to grapple with the text and you begin to question what the text means, right? And you tell me about your question and then you try to answer it. Well, maybe he means that. Maybe based on this page, he means this. You just try to think it through. So this is the beginning of you struggling with the text, which is very healthy, right? 2 questions, right? First 2 paragraphs. Last 2 paragraphs, 2 critiques. So this time you've understood the text, but you disagree. Right, you're reading Plato and you're like, I don't like this definition of the soulmate. It's superficial. I don't like it. Right, and you can criticize them. You can also criticize how they write. I don't care what you criticize as long as you're criticizing something, right? So this is basically, there's no right or wrong, right? This is you simply struggling with the text, this is the urgency, right? I have to know what this means. I'm uncomfortable here, right? This is you reacting, responding to the text on your own, right? Okay, so this assignment is very important. You put it in the drive, PDF, right? You save it, of course. You hand it into the folder, which will be called reading assignments. So you drag it from your desktop into that the appropriate folder. And it will only be counted if it is on time. So I don't accept late reading assignments. So make sure that assignment is in before class starts, right? Good. Any questions on the reading assignment? Yes.
So the deadline is before class starts.
Exactly. When class starts, you will get into groups, and I will start looking at the reading assignments. So I start grading them immediately. Yes.
For the first 2 paragraphs, is it okay if we have more than 2 questions?
Yeah. I don't care. It's fluid, right? This is just a template I'm giving you, but as long as I have the 4 paragraphs and you're struggling, I'm happy.
Okay.
Yes, in the back.
So last 2 paragraphs are critiques. First paragraph is a question. You can answer.
Two questions. So first paragraph is a question, second paragraph is a question. Yeah, and then third paragraph is a critique, fourth paragraph is a critique. Yes.
In the first 2 paragraphs, we had to answer the question.
Yeah, just try to answer, try to imagine, right? Philosophy, a lot of understanding philosophy takes less reasoning, more imagination. Try to imagine what, sense it, intuit what might be the answer to that. This is good to develop this imagination when you're dealing with philosophy, because philosophy is really right brain discipline, in my view, right? So you need to have a good imagination to really read between the lines and understand the depth of what is being said. So just begin to use your imagination. Anybody else? Other questions? Okay, great. Yes?
Sorry, for the reading assignments, will be based on the whole book or just certain amount of pages?
Just the assignment, right? Just the pages.
Just pages,
right?
okay.
Of course, ideally, you read the whole book one day, right? So, I used to assign the whole book and I had a revolution in the class. They were so unhappy. So I reduced it to just chunks, right? But ideally, right, this is for you to eventually, maybe in the summer, right, take up the book and read the whole thing, right? That's the goal, obviously, for you to really get the whole thing. Okay. Okay, second assignment, also every time we meet, this is going to be in class. This is going to be what I call the group discussions. So for the first 20 minutes of class, you will be in groups and you will take your reading assignment and you will share it with your group members. So make sure you have some version of it, maybe on your phone or have it in your head or have it written down, the main ideas. And you're going to share your questions. And your group is going to help you answer, maybe, right? Maybe someone in your group understood that passage that you were struggling with, right? So the group should respond, right, to the questions and the critiques that each person is going to present, right? So you're going to be like, I didn't like this at all. And maybe someone in the group will say, but this is how you could see it. This is how I understand it, and so forth, right? So this group assignment is now together. You begin to wrestle with the text and with each other. And this is a very good preparatory work for the lecture, right? Wrestling alone and wrestling together. So this group assignment, of course, make sure you are engaging, of course, the whole time with the text. Don't wander off and talk about your lives. I will be watching you. This is graded, right? So make sure you do well and show motivation when it comes to sharing your experience with the text. Now, the group. Also, you only get credit if you are on time. So if you're late, just go sit down with your group, participate, and know that you have just lost a point, right? And by the way, this is no matter what the reason. I know there will be very legitimate reasons why you are late. For example, those idiots at the gates that are keeping you from coming in, right? There's so many reasons, right? Or you were dropped or something happened, right? So there's no mercy when it comes to being late, but there's a little bit of mercy at the end of the semester where I give everybody 2 points for these moments where you were held up at the gate or, the bus, left you stranded, right? There's always reasons why you're late, and I understand that. But you will still lose the point. But at the end of the semester, you get these 2 bonus points to cover any crisis you might have had, right? Does that make sense? So if you're late, don't even come up. It's okay. I understand. I love you. I'm not offended. Just go to your group. You've lost the point. It's no big deal, right? You can recover with these last 2 points. So very important that you're on time for you to get that point. Any questions on that part? Yes. Yeah, just a group discussion where you share the reading assignment with people in your group. And then you go and they respond to you and so forth. You're just discussing, grappling together with the text, about the text, yes.
So it's just a group discussion, like we don't have to present it.
No, you're kidding, no. You're going to be in groups of 4, spread out, right? And later we'll be outside when it's nicer, right? So, and you'll be just, these will be your buddies for the class. This will be your support group, right? Any other questions? Okay. Yep.
I was looking at the lecture dates, and
There
page
was a-
45 to 117 comes up twice in Song of Songs.
Yeah, you have to read the whole thing twice. Yeah, I know. I know it's a little weird. But I'll ask you for the second day to focus on chapter 5. That's why. Yeah, thank you. Some dates might be wrong. Let me know, okay? If I put the wrong dates. Okay, the audio question. So this, all right, so this is not every week. This is every time we do a new author, right? So this is the lecture you will listen by yourselves online. I will put it on our playlist. And you will listen by yourselves to that lecture. Every time we start a new author, so for example, next time we meet, right? Or do we? Or am I actually doing that in class? No. Next time we start, oh my God, September? Oh no. Wait, am I looking at the wrong syllabus? I am. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I almost died. February 1st, right? February 1st is introduction. So February 15th. We don't meet before February 15th?
We're doing a Friday schedule on Tuesday.
Okay, right. Okay. Next time we meet, February 15th, right? On that day, you have both the reading assignment and the audio question due, right? Because it's new author plus the reading assignment. And then March 1st, new author, also audio question, reading assignment. March 15th, and so forth. Does that make sense? I see a question. Let me get your name. Mr. Gwiaździński. You look confused. You okay? You had a confusion for a bit.
You said that we meet up February 15th for the next class.
Is that not so?
Yeah. Well, it's the 8th is a Friday schedule.
Right. And then the 15th?
Yeah, we meet the 15th.
I'm just checking the calendars.
Oh, okay, okay.
What's going on this month?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we're good, right? I didn't put the wrong dates. Okay. Good. Yeah, the 8th, we don't meet because it's a Friday schedule. Okay. So you're getting when these audio questions are due, right? Anytime there's a new book. So for example, February 15th, new book. March 1st, new book. March 15th, new book. March 29th, new book. Does that make sense? Yep.
Both the audio questions and reading assignments due before the class, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then February 22, only reading assignment and so forth. So the audio question is very simple. You listen to the lecture and then you answer the question. The question is in your syllabus, right at the end, right? You have the 7 questions. So Solomon, you already have the first question. What is the difference between wisdom literature and the rest of the Bible? So you listen to the whole recording. Some of you listening to like 5 minutes and then try to answer the question. It doesn't work, right? You listen to the whole recording and you answer the question as though it were a test question, right? I only asked for half a page single space, but it has to be a good half a page single space, right? Take it seriously, right? This is, you need to get it right. You can get it wrong, right? It's possible to get it wrong. So listen to the whole thing and then answer in half a page single space. And this is due every time we begin a new author, you have to bring that. Any questions on the audio question assignment? Now, what I'm gonna do, because I know it's a bit confusing, after each class, I do this for hybrid. In the announcements, I write down all the homework you have to do next time. Okay, so check the announcements because each time, after each class, I stay here and I'm like, this is what is due next time. Boom, 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 boom. Because you're gonna, otherwise you're gonna go crazy because we see each other only once a week and you're gonna get confused and I can already see the picture. So I will always write down after each class all your homework, right? So you won't be confused as to what is due. Yeah, that's gonna really help.
We'll only ever have what we do on Tuesdays.
Yeah, because we only meet on Tuesdays, right? So it's always Tuesday. Okay, tests. All right, tests. You're lucky, very lucky. They're take home, number 1, luckiness. Number 2, luckiness. You get the questions ahead of time, right? So you really can't go wrong. I don't know how you manage to flunk a test. It takes a lot of intelligence to flunk a test, knowing having all your notes and also knowing the questions. The questions are here in the syllabus. All the test questions are here already, so you can already think about them as I'm lecturing. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the key to a successful test is 2 things. Number 1, how good you take notes, because if you take, so the test is entirely based on what I'm saying in the lecture, right? Don't try to think too hard, just bring what we talked about in the answer. And so the better your notes are, the more prolific, the more detailed your notes are, the better your test answer is going to be. So in class, you should be taking copious notes. Everything I'm saying should be on your paper, right? So this is a little different from what you're used to, because probably you're used to some PowerPoint presentation. This is European style, right? This is how we teach in Europe. We talk and you write, right? So in the beginning, going to be a little tough to get used to write quickly, but you'll get the hang of it. By the second test, everybody is on board usually. First test, usually there's a bunch of catastrophes, right? But then by the second test, I think you'll get the muscles, right? So this is a slightly different style. So make sure you're writing as much as possible in your notes, so that you can have a nice prolific answer for your test. Yes?
So you're recording the lecture. If we miss something, could we go back and watch?
Yeah, that's why exactly. If you miss a lecture, boom, you listen to it on the recorded ones. Yeah, absolutely, yes.
For these like 2 questions, is it going to be in one essay or we write 2 separate?
2 essays, 2 separate essays.
2 separate.
Yeah. So the test is a 1-page single space per question. So a total of 2 pages single space. So it's a good substantial amount of writing you have to do for the test. But you can do it at home, and typically you hand it in on Saturday night. Okay. The second thing you need for the test, and this is why you'll need your books in class when we study the text, is to have quotes supporting your answers. And these quotes usually we cover in class. When I'm reading with you in class, certain passages, whatever I'm reading, you need to underline that, because that's probably gonna be on the test. So make sure you bring your books. Anytime we're reading something together, you underline it so that you have that quote. Later, when you're writing your test answer, you can incorporate that quote, right? So those are the 2 things you need to bear in mind as you're writing your test to do well on the test. Any questions on the test? Yes?
So the essay is the exam. The essay is the exam. Like you have exam 1 and essay 1 due. It's not 2 separate assignments.
No, that I'm coming to the essay. So that's still the exam, right? 2 essay questions. Yes, the essay is different. So we come to the essay. Okay, essay is the funnest assignment you'll ever have in your life. It's simply you journaling about a crisis in a relationship crisis. I want you to remember, or maybe you're going through a relationship crisis. I want you to tell me about it. That's the first thing. And the second thing, I want you to bring in what we've studied. Is there anything in what we've studied that can help this relationship move forward, or heal, or, that can kind of undo the knot that is in the relationship. So you're basically being your own therapist, okay? You're learning the skills here, and you're going back into the world with those skills. You're going back into your relationships with those skills, and you're seeing, what can I do here to make things better? Or why are things so bad? Is it because I am thinking like this, or they are thinking like this, and what can we change, right? So basically, this is you looking at a relationship crisis and bringing this wisdom into the relationship so that it can move forward, progress, or become stronger, right? So 2 things, right? I need what you've learned, elements of wisdom from what we did in the texts, and how this wisdom can help that particular relationship. So the writing is very free. You can do it like a journal. You can do it like a letter to yourself. You can even write a letter to your beloved, right? Where you bring in this wisdom. But that's the assignment, and it's 1.5 pages. I see here 2 pages. I just need 1.5. No, never mind. I'm on the wrong syllabus. 1.5 pages, single space, and that's the essay that's due every time you have a test. Any questions on that? Yes.
Just to confirm, it's like we talk about what we went through and like use the text that we read to discuss why we went through that and how we can better from it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And how to maybe, if you're still in it, like how can I make this relationship better, knowing what I've learned, right? So you're becoming a relationship therapist, right? I'm training you for that. Good, yes.
When you do the test, is it due at night or?
No, you have a few days, yeah, because we
hand in the essay.
Yeah, so you can actually, you see the test, you can start early, right? Because the first question, we can already start when we finish the Song of Songs. So I would suggest you do that. Finish the question right after we finish the topic. and then you will have less of a test to do later, right? So, and then you can already write the essay early on too. So you can really pace yourself so you don't end up with a big chunk of things to do at the last minute. Okay. Okay, final project. So final project, you're going to read a book that I have written on the Song of Songs called Womanist Wisdom in the Song of Songs. The reason why I prescribed this book for this class is that the book came out of this class, right? So I was teaching this class for about 10 years, and I started to think of a way to put it all together in a book form. And the way I do it is I look at the first poem we're going to study, the Song of Songs, and I'm trying to find wisdom there for present-day relationships. And you will see that throughout my analysis, I'm quoting all the philosophers we'll study, Kierkegaard, Luber, Kierkegaard. So it's a great way to synthesize everything you've done. And it's really a beautiful book if you're on a love journey as a reference. You can really, there's so much to learn from the Song of Songs. We'll only scratch the surface in this class. This is one of the most profound books in my view when it comes to relationships and to wisdom. So in this book, you will really have an in-depth journey into the Song of Songs, and you will have kind of references to all of the authors that we know. So you are actually going to be able to understand this book, unlike most people. Some people tell me, what are you doing? So you guys will have the level, right, to understand it. So once you've read this, so you can start reading now, you can start reading later, but once you've read it, all I will ask is a review on Amazon. You will write me a review. Now, it can be a good review and it can be a bad review. I don't mind, right? I don't want to brainwash you. So you can write, an iffy review. You can write a happy review. In fact, it's good to have a few bad reviews, otherwise it doesn't look honest. It looks like I forced you, which I am, right? So unabashedly forcing you to write this review. So you have the right, however, to be honest in your review. So that book is expensive. So there's two ways we can do this. You can either rent it on Amazon for $18, or I can get you an author's copy for $35. So this is, you will get the actual book, but I can get discount as the author, so I can order them for you, because right now it's like $50 or something, which is really overpriced. So if you're interested in having the actual book, I'm gonna ask you, maybe when we're done with the Song of Songs, I will ask how many of you want to buy the actual book, and you will tell me, and then you can just send me the money through whatever online way, and I'll get you the book for $35, right? So you'll see if you like the Song of Songs and you want to go deeper and you want the actual book, I can get you that for a discount. Okay, we covered everything. Any questions on everything we've talked about? Okay, I think I'm good. All right, so next time we meet is in 2 weeks. I will write the assignments for you. I'll start our playlist, and I need to see my 6 students right now, and whoever else has questions. Yes.
So for now, there's nothing to be done. So by the 15th.
No, exactly, nothing. Just buy the books.
Thank you.
You have to stop it. I'm going to use my recording. Turn this recording off.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. So, by the way, I won't be doing Zoom again. Wait, hold on. Stop recording.